welcome back. Welcome to part 3 of the Polo project. We're doing paint today, and I'm the most nervous about this because painting something has never really been my strong suit. I can do it and it looks okay, but if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I don't know what I'm doing. So with that being said, what are we painting? Well, I'm going to paint the bumpers that you've just seen, 16 valve, off a 16 valve model. The bumpers are ever so slightly different. They're just a one-piece bumper as opposed to the original bumpers, which are top half of it is plastic and there's like a little steel valance underneath, so they'll have to come off as well. But for now, painting those bumpers, body colour obviously. We have the front lip that came off those bumpers. I'm not sure if I paint that front lip gloss black or body colour, but probably body colour I think. I'll leave that one up in the air for now. We need to paint a couple of fog light inserts. We need to repaint a couple of grills that came out of the bumper. We need to colour match the door handles actually, now that I think of it, as I'm looking at the car. We need to do that as well, so we've got to pop those off. So yeah, just painting has always been kind of my weakness, for want of a better word. I've always had mixed results. So let's see what happens. Okay, so some of the other stuff we have to paint, as I mentioned. There's the 2 fog light inserts that were in the bumper when I got it. They're not original ones, obviously. Someone did tell me the brand before when I asked on the Polo groups, but I don't remember. You could cut out that section for the fog light if you want, and they have the little duct back there. So I'm probably just going to scuff them in gloss black again, put a bit of mesh in behind both of them just to kind of jazz them up a little bit. Then there's the little tone hook cover thing or whatever. We've got those plastic inserts that also go in the bumper. I thought about trying to maybe make them into an indicator of some sort, but that might be a project for another day, so 2 of those. The middle grille from the 16 valve bumper, which is in very good shape except for that section there. Now I did think of trying to make, say, like, you know, a backing for there, a backing for the front, and try and kind of like build up plastic in there or some kind of resin and then scuff it and paint it black. But I think it's more hassle than it's worth, because when it's in the car it sits like that. Yeah, you can see it a little bit, but I mean, you'd want to really be looking for it to find it, but otherwise it's in really good shape. And then the last thing is the lip, as I mentioned, that came from that bumper. So it has a split right there. Where is it? Yeah, right there. So it's straightforward enough to fix that. I'm just going to bend it back there in place, probably cable tie it in place or something like that, and then I'll flip that over. I'm just going to, I have one of those hot staple guns, kind of like a plastic welding gun, I guess you'd call it. That'll stick that back together. Let all of that stuff, or let that set, then scuff all of this other stuff, and at least paint that and all of this stuff, except that, gloss black again to match another grille I have up there, which will replace the factory Volkswagen one. So they'll all be a nice kind of matching gloss black for the front. So let's get started on repairing this lip. Now, so if you've never seen one of these guys, they're super handy. They call it like a hot staple gun or something like that, or plastic welding gun, I don't know. Essentially what it is, just your 2 electrodes there, and you get a variety in the kit of these little pins, I guess you'd call them, with different shapes and corners and stuff like that. So this is kind of hard to do with one hand now. You put the 2 ends of it, hang on a minute now, the 2 ends in there, and when it's plugged in, obviously, hit your button there and you'll see it essentially instantly heats up. And once that's held in place into whatever plastic thing you're repairing, let go of the button once it's sunk in, let it cool for a couple of seconds, and then that will be stuck in the plastic, and you just pull the gun, for want of a better word, off the pin. Now, depending on what you're repairing, you can clip the end of those or whatever you want to do, but I'm going to try and show you this as best I can, but it's kind of difficult without help, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so I guess varying degrees of success with that repair. You can see there's still a pretty, you know, not sizable gap there, but if I V that out and put a bit of resin or something like that in, I think it'll be fine. I ended up just putting a staple through from the outside here. You can see the 2 legs of it just right there and there, and I clipped them off with the snips. I'll be able to ever so slightly with the die grinder just take the edge off those. I don't think it'll really matter, but anyway, so we'll put a V in that and we'll put some resin into it. Is it the best repair I've ever done? No, far from it. Is it the worst repair I'll ever do? Probably not. I'm sure there'll be worse, but let's carry on anyway. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. some resin packed in there. We've got it V'd out, so hopefully that'll soak through to the other side. I've tried my best to get some on the other side as well. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, I may as well be showing you nothing, but there's some resin in there as well. So I guess we'll just leave it alone and let it cure for however long. While we're doing that, let's start scuffing all of that stuff for gloss black. All that stuff is scuffed. I might give the fog light covers, just you can see still a bit of a sheen in the corners there, and some of it I'll give them one more go before they get primered. But yeah, happy enough with those. I think they look decent. So let's get a bit of primer onto those, let them sit for a while, and then while we're waiting on those to dry, I guess we could have a quick look at the bumpers. Yeah, I figured we'd take a look at the bumpers first. So the bumpers are not in bad condition. Like, there's a couple of marks and stuff there, but they're very, like, you can feel them with your fingernail, but it's nothing too crazy. Same up here. Like, that looks really bad on camera. It's not, you can barely feel those, and they're, yeah, you can hear those, so they'll need a bit of filling. Overall, I guess they're factory black bumpers. Like, you can see where it's, oh, maybe not. I don't know, it's hard to tell, to be honest. But either way, the whole lot of the bumper is going to get rubbed back, both of them. There's no damage as such, just the paint needs tidying, I guess, really. You know, a couple of marks there from whatever. And then you can, this one, if you look down the length of it, you can see where it's been wrapped up in the bubble wrap for a couple of months now. But again, this one is in very, very good shape. You can see there's even still quite a good reflection in it. Look down across it there, pretty good. The only issue with this one is that cutout is supposed to be there because it's where the factory tow hook is, and then someone at some point, whoever had these, had a, I assume, some big fart can on it, so that's going to need repair. I think I'm going to have to put like mesh on the back of that and try and kind of, I don't know how I'm going to replicate that similar corner, but well, I don't need the corner now that I think of it, just goes straight across. But look, mesh behind that anyway, and then build it up and build it up and build it up with maybe not fiberglass, but plastic resin or epoxy resin or something. But anyway, won't be anything too crazy. You can feel that one. Yeah, we can hear that one. But again, overall, looking down across them, they're not bad. So it won't take much more than a good scuff. Oh, I'm going to have to spot, what's that? It's like tape residue. I might be able to get that off. They're not going to take a whole lot more than a good scuff, some filler, some primer, blocking it flat again, or, you know, as flat as I can be bothered. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I kind of know what I'm doing. So they can sit there anyway for a while. So you know what they look like. Let's get these primed and painted black. Have 2 coats of primer. I'm just going to leave them alone. I was going to give them one little light coat of black for now, but I'm going to leave them to dry for a little while. So what we're going to start on is scuffing the front bumper. I figure I was going to start the back bumper, but I'll wait. The front one has a lot more shapes in it, so I'll get the awkward one out of the way first. So I guess I've got a couple of options. I have my little DA sander that I could put on the airline and with the compressor and all that stuff, or I also have a battery powered one, or I could just do it by hand. I think I'll start with the battery powered one and just see, and if it's a bit too nasty and like is too hard to control and stuff, then I'll move on to the air one. I don't want to do it by hand because it'll take forever, but we'll see. So let's get started on that.
He's one of the best scientific minds we have today.
Okay, so we've given the front bumper a rub. I ended up just giving it a rub of red Scotch-Brite on the, I have a little battery powered DA there. The red Scotch-Brite is about 400 quid roughly. There's still a couple of spots I need to get in by hand, just along there and down in some of these nooks and crannies and stuff like that. But overall, like, it's dulled pretty well. I think there's still a couple of spots up here and, you know, stuff like that, but we're getting there. So what we'll need to do is then with a harsher sandpaper, it's kind of hard to see on camera. Oh, you can see it there, yeah, where that little bit of damage is there. We'll scuff that and try and feather that out. I need to get in there with a rougher bit of sandpaper and try and get the sheen off that, because they'll need a little bit of filler in them. Overall, it looks pretty good. Now, again, like I keep saying, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're figuring it out. All right, back again. So I'll be honest with you, it was kind of hard to film a lot of that because it's just me going like I'm dancing with a bit of sandpaper, you know. But what I've done, as you just saw, I had run over the whole thing with 400 grit with the, wherever it is, my cordless D over there, which is dead now. And then in the deeper spots, I scuffed it down a bit more, where anywhere that it was bare plastic, and feathered out the edge as much as I could, at least anyway. And like I said, like, I'm not looking for absolute 100% perfection with this, because the rest of the paint is pretty rough anyway, so this doesn't have to be perfect either. But from, you know, 3 or 6 foot away, I'm going to be happy enough. So even if it looks 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 even, I'll be happy enough. So then I went over it all by hand again with 400, cleaned it all down, and I'm going to leave it in front of the heater there now for a while, and just hope for the best, I guess. Like, it looks very, very scuffed. Like, see the crosshatch pattern on the corner there, it looks really rough there on camera. You can't really see that to your eye. Honestly, I don't know if that needs to be roughed down more. Could like, to completely get the sheen off it, to be totally honest. So I guess we're just going to paint it, and or prime it at least anyway, and see what happens. And I guess, look, worst case scenario, if it turns out shit, I'll just pay someone to do it, but I'd rather try it myself, you know. Right, as you saw there, that's the second coat of primer. Now, realistically, I probably didn't have to prime the whole thing, just the scuffed, the bare plastic areas, like the corner there, up here, 1 or 2 little spots over there. You can see another one just up here. I probably could have just primed those, and the rest would have been fine to put colour over it. But I figure if I'm putting a light colour over a dark colour, it probably helps to have a uniform base to go on. I don't know if that kind of thing has any effect, but it makes sense in my head. So that's going to dry there for a little while. I might even leave that one till tomorrow, or give it one more and then leave it to dry tomorrow. But for the time being, the other little stuff is glass black. Pretty happy with how they turned out. A tiny little run in the corner of that one there. Can you see it? Yeah, just a bit. But again, that's down on the bumper. Not too bothered with that. I missed a little bit up there. We'll hit that in a second. But overall, they look pretty good too. But anyway, in the meantime, I've taken the bumper down off the stand, and I'm quite happy with it. Like, it's pretty uniform. It's quite a straight bumper for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's, you know, little, can you see right there in the light? And you can see, you can see just here where the light is, there's a low spot there where I imagine it hit something at some point. So I'm in 2 minds whether I want to, say for example, now or tomorrow, guide coat the whole thing, block it back, fill those few little scratches that I've talked about already, and fill that low spot up there, and the 1 or 2 other little spots. But like, well, I say, do I want to do it? I know for a fact I don't want to do it, but whether I should or not is the thing. I think whether I should, yeah, I should. But am I going to? No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it. I'd like to think, at least anyway, that Silver will be somewhat more of a forgiving colour in regards to little nicks and scratches and stuff like that, compared to a blue or red or black or something like that. But also, as I've already touched on, the paint on the car, it's not fully fucked, but it's definitely, like, you can see all that. I think it's the start of peeling clear coat, but I have tried to buff a little bit. Well, the car's super dusty now, so there's kind of no point showing you, but because the paint is already pretty rough, they don't need to be perfect either. So that's why I'm not really breaking my heart over it. So I think for now, I'm going to leave this bumper alone overnight, see what it's like in the morning. I think we'll be okay to heat it up a bit and paint it in the morning, like scuff that a little bit, clean it down, and then paint it tomorrow. So for now, I think what we should start doing is start scuffing this guy. But first, oh, nearly hit the freshly primed bumper. We got to fix this. More hassle than I expected it to be, but still plenty manageable. So we've got a nice flush fit of the mesh up against the plastic of the original bumper, and from the back it's pretty well melted in pretty much everywhere. Now obviously it doesn't look great there, but I think it'll be fine once there's some, you know, resin and stuff like that in there. The following day, that bumper has been sitting overnight and I'm very pleased with it. It looks good to me. We might need another spot of primer just there. You can still see the repair a little bit through it, but overall it looks really good. It's nice and uniform, so super happy with that one. And then I was out here for a quick look this morning, and my 3-year-old decided she wanted to paint something, so sprayed a little bit there. But again, that's been sitting there all night, absolutely rock solid. So what I need to do now is kind of map out and shape. That should be pretty straightforward. some sanding, as you've just seen. I've got that spot flattened out, got that spot flattened out, got a tiny little one just up here. Realistically didn't even really need to do that, but this corner they had a few gouges in it. There's still a couple of little pinholes here and there, but if the primer doesn't fill that, I'll sand it back down again. Tiny little nick just there. Might put a touch more on that maybe, just there. That looks nasty, but it's not. That's nice and smooth. And then the spot where we've filled the gap, it's surprisingly flat, so I just gave it a little bit of coat of guide coat, or a little bit of spray of guide coat, rubbed it over, and we've got those couple of low spots just there. Now, what realistically you'd be looking at the bumper, you know, at a downward angle, so you'd barely notice, but I think for the sake of mixing a bit of filler, I'm just going to fill those, give it a 20 minutes, and then just block it back again. But altogether, or overall, I mean, so far, coming up pretty good. We're back. So I had a bit of an issue with the can in the last clip. You just saw it was running out, and the nozzle I think was a little bit blocked, so I got a fresh can of primer. This is now 3 coats of primer on the bumper and 3 on the lip. So it looks fine. Yeah, again, I'm not going extra filling in any of these spots. I'm just going to leave them as they are. But the bumper though has come out really nice. Like, that looks so tidy to me. Now, to the trained eye, maybe I'm sure you can see where some of my repairs were, but for me, all I can really see is just about the shadow of that curve there. And again, you could have filled that a bit more, but I think it's fine. And the body line all down the middle of the bumper, all the way down there, I was kind of afraid of losing some of that because I was sanding into it. I thought I might have rounded it off a little bit. Same with that body line there, because there was a few little scuffs along there. But overall, I think it looks really nice. I'm very impressed with myself, I suppose. You know, over here looks good. I'm very happy with that. So yeah, looks really nice. So the next step, I guess, is the most nerve-wracking one, is to scuff them back a little bit and then paint them with actual paint. So that's where this could all fall apart. So that's 2 coats of primer, 3 coats of colour and 3 coats of lacquer, and I'm very, very pleased with it. I'm kind of impressing myself a little bit here. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I have been able to get some expert advice off my friend Martin, who paints cars for a living, so I'm very, very happy. A bit of a reflection in it, you know, that'll all get buffed in a couple of weeks when the lacquer's properly hardened. But I mean, for a bumper that was black this morning, it looks good to me now. You'd never know. And I've done inside the, like, whatever you would call along there, like where the arch liner goes and stuff. The one thing I am just a bit disappointed about, I have a run there, quite a sizable one, but I think we'll be able to buff that out again in a few weeks when the lacquer's properly hardened. But for now, I'm very, very pleased with how that has come out. It looks wicked. So, end of the day, and we're going to call it quits at that, just because it's getting too cold, and also I've been out here pretty much all day. So tomorrow, hopefully we've had no issues with that, and tomorrow, depending on the weather, we'll get started with colour and clear coat on this.
3 days later.
Okay, we're back. It's a number of days since the clip that you just saw there, so tomorrow didn't happen as such. That was, I think, Wednesday evening. And if you live in Ireland, England, Western Europe in general, I guess you will have heard about the massive gnarly storm we had on over the weekend. So unfortunately, that caused a huge delay because my storage shed that's outside the big shed blew away, the entire thing, for the second time in 2 months. So not only did mine blow away, but my father's shed blew away, my mother's gardening shed blew away, and kind of like a gazebo wooden structure sun house kind of thing that she had, that also blew away. So because of that, as you can see, my shed is now absolutely full of all the contents of those shed. That's all my mother's stuff, all my old man stuff, and then that's all stuff that was in my shed, and that's all stuff that was in my small shed as well, all storage, spare parts for the lowrider. So unfortunately that's put a fairly big delay on the project, but can't stop, won't stop, so let's keep going. So what we've done, for now at least anyway, when I was scuffing the bumper in the clip that you've just seen, it was starting to kind of wear through. You can see in a couple of spots there that cheaper primer. So what I'm going to do is reprime that. I've just given it a little light scuff again. I'm going to reprime it with the same primer that I used, the proper 2K stuff, for that lip and for the back bumper as well. So we're going to let that heat up for a couple of minutes, and while I'm waiting on that, I decided to just go ahead and put, so far, 1 coat, but I might put another of lacquer on the grill parts and stuff like that there, because as I mentioned earlier in the video, that box there has a new badgeless grill in it which has a lovely sheen on it, so I try and get them to match fairly close. But for the time being, we're just waiting on a little bit of heat to get into the place, and then we'll prime that bumper, and we'll paint that bumper, and we'll be ready to rock. Okay, so you might have been expecting to see some paint, and you might be thinking, why is he covered in dust? Why does it look like he's been digging in a cave? Well, here's why. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened. I can only assume that because I mixed the 2 types of primer, that they shit themselves when they tried to bond and just split apart. So I ended up just scraping it all off as best I could, and then just sanding it all off, mostly by hand, unfortunately, because that thing is a piece of shit, and now that thing doesn't seem to want to work properly either. So we've got the whole bumper scuffed back, all the old shit scraped off it and sanded off it as best I could, at least anyway. Not too concerned about in here because it seems to have bonded in there quite well, but the grills sit in and most of that anyway. Same up there, the number plate will be there, and a couple of other spots, so like just, you know, up along here that'll be under the grill and stuff like that, stuff you won't really see, you know. So it's time to clean that down, do 1 or 2 little repairs that I missed the first time. So seeing as we're gone to this extreme for the sake of another hour, we may as well keep going. Okay, so that's it for this episode of the Polo. I gotta admit, I'm very happy with the result. I know it's, like I keep saying, I don't know what I'm doing, and it was done with aerosols and stuff, but overall, I'm very pleased with the result. I think I was shooting for 6 or 7 out of 10, and for it to look good from about 6 foot away, and I think I've more than achieved that. If anything, it'll probably look better than the paintwork on the car, because as I've already mentioned, that paint is rattled, so we'll see what happens. But considering it was done in an open shed full of stuff by someone with little to no experience with aerosol cans, I'm very, very pleased with it. So with that in mind, if you're a professional, someone that does that for a living, or someone with more experience in that kind of stuff than me, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, especially about what you think caused the primers and stuff to split. I imagine it was just mixing the 2 primers, but maybe so a professional have more insight. And also, maybe, I don't know, just for fun, give me a score out of 10 on how you think it came out and how you think it looked, and obviously what I could do better in the future and so on. So yeah, that being said, thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram. I've been doing live little updates on Instagram like I've mentioned before. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back pretty soon. Peace.